You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. All right, this is crazy. This is really breaking news going on right now. We are under Indictment Watch of President Trump in this ridiculous classified documents slander they have against him. There's a grand jury, and there's a lot of stories on this today, and there is an Indictment Watch going on, and we sadly are on it. Let me read that. This is from CBS News. Trump attorneys were at the Justice Department for about 2 hours today. Attorneys representing Donald Trump were at the Justice Department at around 10 a.m. today, weeks after Trump's lawyers had requested a meeting with top federal law enforcement officials. CBS News saw Trump's legal team walking into the Justice Department. They didn't speak as they entered the building in D.C. They stayed for just under 2 hours. A person familiar with the meeting between Trump's lawyers and the department said the Attorney General Merrick Garland did not attend. Two people familiar with the probe said Trump's legal team is frustrated with how the Justice Department have handled attorney-client matters in recent months and would likely raise their concerns in front of the meeting today. A federal judge said earlier this year Trump's attorney must testify before a federal grand jury in D.C. investigating the document case. You know, this is something new with Trump that I've never heard with anyone else. Since when do people's attorneys get called in to testify against their client? I've never heard of such a thing. And it's
since Trump, I guess.
I mean, I thought there's attorney-client privilege, and it's
supposed to be.
It started with Michael Cohen. Now it's working to these other lawyers. And this really, it's not only wrong because attorney-client privilege is important. You cannot have an adequate defense if you cannot confide in your attorney, and if your attorney can be called in to testify against you in grand juries and trials and cases, how can you confide in them? So it's really insane that attorneys are not on television screaming about this all day, but they hate Trump. I guess they're afraid they'll come after them. And also, it makes it impossible for Trump to get top-tier attorneys because once an attorney testifies against a client, they're burned. I mean, who would ever trust them again? The attorney refused to answer questions from investigators previously about his conversations with Trump, citing attorney-client privilege. Prosecutors in the special counsel office wanted to ask the attorney about an alleged call he had with Trump in June 22, around the time investigators were seeking the secure documents from Mar-A-Lago. The special counsel's team asked the D.C. judge to reject the attorney's claim of privilege and force him to testify against his client, Trump, on the basis that the attorney-client communication in question could have furthered criminal activity. See, they're treating him like a mobster, like if a mobster or some drug kingpin like El Chapo is in prison. They meet with their attorneys, and they still run their criminal operation through their attorneys when the attorneys come and meet them in prison. That's how they're treating Trump. And what's going on here, I'm not going to read through this whole story. It goes on and on, a bunch of disgusting legalese, details that we don't need to go through. But what's going on here is they know President Trump's going to win. I mean, he is so far ahead.
Well, the fact isn't
in the
Comey
polls.
Retired?
Officially.
So the fact that he's doing interviews and talking about this so much lets you know that he's very much involved still in this, as he was with the Russia hoax. I mean, this has his smell all over it. So, that tells you a lot right there.
Well,
and we have yet to hear this so-called tape that they keep, just like nobody saw the tape of him peeing on the hookers or them peeing on him or whatever they said. I mean, there is no tape, just like there was no tape then. Comey was involved in that. He's involved. They pulled him out of retirement, I guess, to do this now.
Well, the reason that Comey's doing all these TV interviews about this fake tape that no one has seen or heard, and talking about this document case and an arrest and an indictment, is to prepare people for it. He's out there in the media Comey.
Yeah, but why him?
Because he's got nothing better to do.
No, because he's involved in this big time.
Well, he is behind this. Well, no. He is involved in it.
He's not just a spokesperson.
And he's got a vendetta because Trump fired him, and he can't handle that. But he's officially retired. He doesn't officially have a job, so he can go out there and say things and not worry, and he's kind of enjoying it. But
there's more to it than that.
They have Comey setting the stage so that if they come through with an indictment, a federal indictment against President Trump in the document case, people will be kind of used to it. Oh, it's been in the news the last few weeks. It's just kind of been expected. This is what they do. It's kind of like the boiling the
I don't agree with you on that because I don't think Comey is like the most likable, trustworthy guy.
To Democrats, he is.
No,
they
I
love
don't know.
him.
I think he's orchestrated this whole thing, and that's why he's doing the interviews because he's behind it, and he wants to personally get the message out there. This is personal to him, and he wants to personally let everybody know, including Trump, that he is the one.
Oh, that he wants credit for it.
I mean, this is not just about him letting people know. There's a reason he's doing that and nobody else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a lot of people that could be going out there giving this message. Yeah. Why him? Because he's involved and he wants everybody to know he is still a power player and that he wants Trump to know, I am still coming after you.
This is what I've realized. The FBI basically runs the United States. I mean, it seems
even when they're retired. Apparently.
I think the FBI. It's nothing you ever really retire from. It's a secret society brotherhood.
I think they have since J. Edgar Hoover. I think he started it with having files on everybody. I think he was the first guy. Before him, I think they were just solely involved in fighting crime. And I think when he came along and got files on everyone and really wielded his power, I think he created a culture in the FBI, at least in the D.C. bureau, and I think they've controlled the government since then. Yeah, since the 50s, or 40s, or whenever he was around.
They run everything, and if you notice, everything with Trump always goes back to that FBI, office in D.C. Okay. So I expect they're
determined to get him.
Yeah, I expect the indictment from the federal grand jury, but the thing is, they've spent so many years harassing this guy who's never done a crime with indictments and investigations. And they don't understand. What they've done is they've turned Trump into a living martyr.
Yes.
And
a folk hero.
And people, but Billy Jack or something. People see that. It's obvious. And
plus part of his whole thing is that it's the establishment against him. So the more the establishment goes after him, the more he proves that point.
It makes him more popular. Yeah. And, they made a martyr out of him. They're going to come out with this. But the problem is these people that are after Trump are in this Washington, D.C. bubble where everyone hates Trump. Yeah. And they can't see the world clearly. And they really are very frustrated and don't understand what's going on. In this interview that Comey did over the weekend with Jen Psaki on MSNBC, he's talking about this indictment over the summer. And people got to realize the presidential race seems to be going pretty hot right now, the primaries. The primaries are a year away.
Oh, yeah. A lot can happen.
The Florida primary is August 20th, 2024. Yep. And obviously, we got Iowa stuff before, but they're just a couple months before. So we're a year away from things. And this is why Ron DeSantis is going around still running, looking happy because he figures it's so far away. He's seeing this D.C. indictment coming in, and he thinks Trump's not going to be able to run. Now, I don't really like talking about DeSantis's wife, Casey DeSantis, but there was something
kind of hard not to.
Something about her today came out, and it came out of a liberal publication, the Daily Beast. They called her a Walmart Melania, which is code word for white trash. I think
pretty mean.
You think so? Like white trash?
Well, they were commenting on the jacket she wore, and that it looked like something you'd get at Walmart.
The leather jacket,
like cheap looking.
Yeah,
whatever. I think her hair is a bigger problem, and her she does not know how to dress. But anyway, she needs a stylist. But I would never call her. I think that's pretty damn mean to call her something like that. But I was saying to you that, but she shouldn't have worn a jacket like that. I mean, it's obviously she's copying Melania. Yeah. And when you do things like that, when you make yourself a spectacle, you're going to get the wrath of the left. And she put herself out there. She's making herself a well-known public figure. Now she's pulling stunts so people start talking about her.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's going to like it too much because let me tell you, I sure as hell wouldn't like it. I'm sure most of you wouldn't. Melania is very tough, but here's the deal with Melania. Melania is gorgeous, okay? She's a model. She's rich. She's married to Donald Trump. So it'd probably be very hard to bring her down and hurt her feelings. She's on a whole other level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Casey DeSantis thinks she's at that level, but she's not. And her and her husband are getting a lot of bad publicity. All of a sudden, a lot of people are saying mean things like Walmart Melania, how he's awkward and this and that. And I would not egg on the press like that if I was her. But that's just me. I guess she wants the attention. But if I was like married to somebody running for president, I would want the least amount of attention, especially if you're a Republican, because the media is going to crucify you.
DeSantis's wife.
I mean, she's asking for it.
Yeah. DeSantis's wife, Casey DeSantis. I've really only seen her speak once or twice. And after we had the hurricanes that hit Florida last year, DeSantis put his wife in charge of the fundraising, where he could donate money to. And I saw her at a press conference. She was running the fundraising, and she had a press conference. She came out and she talked at the emergency management center here in Florida. And it wasn't a ceremonial thing. Like they'll put Joe Biden or Michelle Obama in charge of something, and they just show up and say, I'm here. They don't really work. She was really running the thing, and she was taking questions. And Casey DeSantis is very, very smart.
She is. She's not stupid.
She's not stupid. She's very, very smart. Her husband's a creep.
And they all say she is the one driving him, which we have said that she is the one pushing him to run for president. And that's not unusual. Behind every successful man is a great woman. So that's not unusual. I'm sure a lot of men in politics were pushed by their women to do it. And I think she pushed him a little prematurely.
Yeah, she's good on press conferences and things because she comes from television.
That's true.
She's a television news reporter,
That's true.
Kind of like Carrie Lake. And she's very good on TV. And I think when people see her on television, I don't know about interviews, but if she does a speech or introduces DeSantis, she'll come off pretty well. But calling her white trash, which is pretty mean.
And I don't think that fits. I mean, I don't think she's white trash. I mean, she needs a makeover, but I don't think she's like a white trashy person. She's very well educated.
You know what she looks like to me?
Spoken.
She looks like the way she dresses and her hair that you see lately. She kind of looks like one of the sister wives from those compounds. You know what I mean?
I don't know if, she's got a look for sure. I call it the Priscilla Presley.
From the 60s.
From the 60s when she married Elvis look, or Elvira. You take your pick. She needs to redo her hair. I mean, I cannot emphasize this enough. And her eyebrows and her clothes. I mean, it would make a huge, huge difference. But her kids are cute, and she's a pretty lady other than the hair and stuff, but she needs to work on that. But they're bringing on a lot of negative. I don't know. Maybe she likes it. Maybe she likes people talking about her no matter what. They want to get attention. But I thought it was a weird move to put something on a jacket like Melania did. It was just a strange thing to do. It was obviously very copycat.
It may not have been her idea. I don't know. But
she put the jacket on.
Now, I just looked at the weather. Now, it's about to start raining here in Florida because we're in hurricane season, rainy season. Right now, it's 86 degrees. High today, 90 degrees. We're in the summertime. And wherever you are, it's the summer's coming for most of you, unless you're listening to us in Australia, right? Like I said yesterday. But, that means to me hot nights. And Mike Lindell, the Thomas Edison of sleep, has introduced these two major upgrades to two of his incredible products that'll make the hot summer nights cool and comfortable for you in your bed. The one that is just amazing, it makes a huge difference, is the MyPillow 2.0. It's an upgrade on the original MyPillow that started it all. It has that same patented fill inside, but the material is a new material that Mike Lindell has developed with cooling technology in it that keeps your head and face the perfect temperature all night long. You'll never flip the pillow over looking for the cool side again. And that's buy one, get one free at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout. And then the upgraded MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper 2.0, which has cooling technology, which is absolutely amazing. We have one of these, and it is 40% off. and free shipping on the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper 2.0 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Now, we're just shy of 2 weeks away from Father's Day. There's time to order these for Father's Day as well. And you could take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com, not just the ones I talk about. I share with you what I think are the best deals and the must-haves and some of my favorites, but you can use our promo code Kane, Kane, and all the items there. But as the hot summer is coming, I would take advantage of these deals. The 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper 2.0 with cooling technology, 40% off and free shipping, and the MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology, buy one, get one free. Both of those, of course, with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And remember, when you use our promo code Kane, Kane, you are supporting all the content I'm connected to, right? The podcast, the YouTube channel, the radio show, the radio station, everything I'm connected to, you're helping and supporting in a big, big way when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. Plus, you'll get a great night's sleep. All right. So Steve Bannon last week went off on Marjorie Taylor Greene over the debt ceiling, and she's speaking out. Now, let me share a little bit of this with you. This is in the National Pulse. Marjorie Taylor Greene leaks text bashing Steve Bannon for refusing to back the McCarthy deal. She says, "I'm done." Marjorie Taylor Greene hit out at Steve Bannon for refusing to support Kevin McCarthy over the debt ceiling increase. Last week, Bannon called for Greene to be primaried by someone who was real MAGA due to her shift away from her formerly staunch support of the grassroots movement. In response, Marjorie Taylor Greene leaked her own text messages with Matt Gaetz to the far-left Daily Beast, in which she said this. So Marjorie Taylor Greene's leaking to the Daily Beast, by the way, is the publication they called Ron DeSantis' wife, Casey, Walmart Melania. So a pretty hardcore liberal she's leaking this to. This is the text that Marjorie Taylor Greene leaked to the liberal Daily Beast. And Bannon, who was senior counsel to Trump in the White House and responsible for the first debt ceiling increase because Bannon is reckless and nowhere near fiscally responsible, is now telling everyone I should be primaried. Steve and I aren't getting back together, and if he keeps it up, I'll take the house and kids. I hope you send it to Steve because I'm done. She sent that to Matt Gaetz.
Wow.
Okay, I'll tell you guys this about the debt ceiling, okay? I didn't talk about the debt ceiling, Kathy. We didn't talk about it. I tried not to talk about it at all.
I know.
To me, I understand the importance of it. I understand it. I'm not stupid. But talking about the debt ceiling is two things. One, terminally boring. It's like talking to an accountant about accounting, which is, boring. And it was something that was going to get done. It was going to be passed. There was nothing we were going to do to stop it. There wasn't going to be any meaningful change. And I'm focusing on things where we can actually change things and get things done. And so far as Marjorie Taylor Greene, I know a lot of people are following Steve Bannon with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not doing that. I'm supporting all these people: Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon, all of them. And I'll tell you why. When that Speaker of the House vote after vote was going on, I was very upset with Marjorie Taylor Greene for backing Kevin McCarthy, and then her phone rang and Donald Trump called, and we found out she was doing Trump's bidding. Mm-hmm. So I suspect, and I could be wrong, but I suspect that Marjorie Taylor Greene is still working for Trump, and that they went along with this debt ceiling, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, to get something. You got to give to get. And all these things are unimportant if we don't have Trump back in the White House. And if they got to pass this ridiculous, god-awful debt ceiling increase and everything to help get Trump back in the White House and save the country, I'd have to go along with that. We're not going to get everything we want. Mm-hmm. And I just can't get upset about the debt ceiling. I'm looking at the big picture of getting Trump back in the White House, whatever that takes. And I know, regardless of this bickering between the two of them, Marjorie Taylor Greene's working on getting Trump back in the White House. Marjorie Taylor Greene is having a lot of knockout, drag-out fights with top MAGA people. Steve Bannon, her and Laura Loomer are like at each other's throats.
What do you think that's about?
I think maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene's very territorial about Trump. I don't think she likes anyone between her and Trump. I could be wrong. I don't know much about her. Other than she left her husband and she's MAGA and she's with Brian from Right Side Broadcasting, and they like to take pictures with his shirt off and post them on Instagram. That's about all I know.
I don't think she sees Laura Loomer or Steve Bannon at her level. And Laura Loomer especially. I think she feels that she has no place at the table. And why the hell are people even paying attention to her? She keeps running for Congress. She's never winning. And she pulls a lot of stunts and gets in the news. And I'm not saying I don't like Laura Loomer. She has a lot of good information. You should definitely follow her on Twitter. And she's got balls, I'll tell you that. But for some reason, Marjorie Taylor Greene feels that she is not worthy of being at her level, being close to
Correct.
Trump.
Yeah.
And I think she feels that way about, even though Bannon did work for Trump in the White House, he did leave him after a while. But I think she feels, I don't want to say beneath her, but like, why are you even part of this? You know, you have no power, you have no say, especially with Loomer. And I think she just gets annoyed more than anything at these people getting involved in her business.
A couple things here. A lot of these people that when they become Washington insiders, when they used to be, they don't like people that are not Washington insiders, even like the good people. Like
they're not part of the club. So,
I'm not part of the club. I'm not part of the club. You know, I keep myself out. You know, I could go and be more involved than I am with these inner circle things, but I really don't see any benefit in it other than ego. So I kind of stay away from that stuff. But and I also think it's hard to do your job. See, what happens with people that are outsiders, you know, like me or Loomer and stuff like this. Hannity used to be like us, and then once you start palling around with these people, you become useless, vanilla.
Well, do you
generic
think that's
and establishment.
To her, Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Maybe
he's about to.
We got to stick with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. They're doing everything they can do to help Trump.
Well, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene is relatively young. I mean, she's in her 40s. I don't think she's going to get primaried because Steve Bannon says so. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he has that kind of pull anymore at all, if he ever did. So she shouldn't even worry about
Trump
it.
Fired him, remember?
But yeah, I mean, and nobody in Georgia is going to listen to him. I know, but he doesn't have any influence over her election. So she shouldn't even worry about it. But she has a long political career ahead of her, long beyond Trump. You know, I think she has her sights on Speaker of the House someday. And I think that could happen. She has learned how to play the game. Lauren Boebert, I think, will not win election again. She got close to losing. I personally don't like her. I think she's just pretty useless. And now she's getting a divorce and all this stuff. Her family's a mess. She lost her business. So, you know, she's not really, to me, the best example of like a good conservative because her whole world is falling apart for whatever reason. She can't get her act together. But I don't think she's going to last. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, will. I think she's extremely strong in her district. And I think she could be speaker someday. She's a strong voice. She's tough. She's focused. Lauren Boebert, to me, is a bimbo. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like her. But when I saw her at the CPAC walking around like a Barbie doll, it really aggravated me. She's in love with herself. And I just don't. I'm not a fan of hers. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is a serious woman who is learning how to play the political game very quickly and very well. And I don't think she should be so concerned with people like Laura Loomer and Steve Bannon. But she was very concerned about Trump hiring Laura Loomer, and she went out of her. She stopped it from happening. And I think I don't know if she sees Laura as a threat, but clearly on some level she does. But she did not want her having Trump's ear like that close and becoming an advisor, which is, I think, where Trump was headed with her, was hiring her as an advisor to his campaign. And I think Laura Loomer saw that as a very bad move and put the kibosh on that. So maybe, I don't know if she saw it as a threat to her or a threat to Trump, but Laura Loomer's controversial. And, you know, has she ever advised anybody's campaign, Laura? Has she ever been a political advisor?
I believe... And I'll give you some evidence of this. And guys, I'm not just saying this, and I'm a little bit in the know with this because I know Laura Loomer, although she has not told me this, okay? But I think Laura Loomer is unofficially working for President Trump.
Maybe.
And I've thought that for a while. And
could be possible.
And President Trump sent Laura Loomer a handwritten birthday card with his own signature for her birthday a couple weeks ago. And I think, and if you follow Laura Loomer on Twitter, she's really going after DeSantis, which Trump wants her to do. So I think she's unofficially,
I think you're right,
working for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I'm not saying she's getting paid by Donald Trump. She could be, who knows, but she could be just doing it to do it for something down the road, so far as work. I don't know, but I believe that she is working for Donald Trump. I think she
on the down low. I agree.
I
with
believe
you on that one for
that
sure.
she talks to him.
Yep.
And yeah, and I think he communicates with her about things involving DeSantis. And if you notice, if you follow Laura Loomer has been breaking a lot of news involving Ron DeSantis quite a bit.
Very good stuff.
And
definitely follow.
And President Trump may be doing investigation, very well connected, but President Trump also has teams investigating DeSantis, and he may be giving things to Loomer to get out there. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
No, so I think that she is working for him. Now listen, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Parents, grandparents, and teachers, there's a heartwarming new children's book from author James Carey that you will want to add to your child's must-read list. Strong Evan, Evan and the Adventures of Diabetes, now available on Amazon. Join Evan, a young boy living with diabetes, as he embarks on a series of exciting adventures while learning to manage his condition. Evan refuses to let diabetes hold him back, and with the help of his continuous glucose monitor, insulin pump, and the support of his loving family, he lives life to the fullest. From playing soccer and swimming to climbing mountains and exploring the ocean, he shows that anything is possible when you have determination and a positive attitude. Throughout the book, Evan and his family cook healthy meals and engage in open conversation about managing diabetes. This book teaches valuable life lessons and will inspire young readers. Strong Evan is an engaging and educational story that empowers children to face challenges head on while promoting understanding and empathy for those living with diabetes. Order your copy of Strong Evan, Evan and the Adventures of Diabetes from author James Carey on Amazon right now, and give your child the gift of courage, confidence, and compassion with this wonderful children's book. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Have you dreamed of starting a successful online business but didn't know how or even where to begin? If you're ready to turn your dreams of a successful online business into reality, look no further. Introducing How to Start an Online Business, your ultimate guide to navigating the exciting world of online commerce. This comprehensive resource is designed to equip aspiring entrepreneurs just like you with the knowledge, tools, and strategies needed to launch and grow your digital venture. From idea to successful launch, How to Start an Online Business provides step-by-step guidance and valuable insights at every stage of your entrepreneurial journey. It's packed with actionable tips, real-life case studies, and expert advice from successful online entrepreneurs. How to Start an Online Business is more than just theory. It's a practical resource that empowers you to make informed decisions and overcome obstacles. No matter your background or experience level, this book can help you harness the power of the internet and create your digital empire. Visit etechecommerce.com/opt-in for a free video and ebook on how to start an online business. etechecommerce.com/opt-in and begin your journey to online entrepreneurship. etechecommerce.com/opt-in.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So Tim Scott was on The View today. I'm not going to play any sound bites from The View. In fact, I got the sound bites of Tim Scott on The View, and right before the podcast, I told Kathy, I said, I don't want to hear these ladies. I'm not going to play. We'll just talk about what happened. Tim Scott, who's polling, depending on which poll, as high as 3% in the polls. Most of the polls have about 1%. He announced like 2 weeks ago, but he's getting elevated. And after he announced he was running for president, Whoopi Goldberg on The View said that he had Clarence Thomas syndrome, which is supposed to be something bad. I don't know what that exactly means. And he went on The View today and had this exchange. Let me read through this article. Instead of playing, I don't want to hear those ladies' voices, so I'll just read through this article. We'll talk about it. Senator Tim Scott defended Republicans' record on race issues as he received a lecture from the host of The View. He slammed The View for being disgusting in regards to the rhetoric about black children in America. He was on there with all the winners. They had Whoopi, Anna Navarro, Sunny Hostin.
But you notice Joy Behar wasn't on there.
No, she was not because of the blackface thing. I think she took the day off.
Because she made that comment last week about him and Clarence Thomas not knowing what it was like to be black.
That's true. She didn't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
She knows what it's like.
She was afraid for
She was in blackface for one night years ago, and she knows more about being black than Tim Scott.
Exactly.
But Sunny Hostin and him, he was saying that, he said that they're dangerous and reckless. And what he told him is, you say that anyone who's black and successful is the exception. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. And he went through a list. We've had a black president, and he went through a whole list of people. Yeah. And Sunny Hostin said those are the exception. And Sunny Hostin,
that's ridiculous.
I can put up with a lot of BS from people, but there's two personality traits that people have that are negative personality traits that piss me off beyond imagination. One of them I'm not going to share with you.
Why not? Do it. Go for it.
No, because...
Can you give us a hint?
I give you a hint, only you will get this. Somebody we know has this personality trait, and when they display it, I tell you it drives me nuts. I don't want to tell people what drives me nuts too much. I'll tell you after the show. I can't give away, my kryptonite here. Okay? I can't tell people what bugs me. Okay? They'll use it against me. No, not that. But anyway.
Brian has a lot of quirks, so I have to go down a long list.
I'm talking about personality traits.
Yeah, I know.
But one thing that really I can't stand in someone, which I think is the most negative personality trait that a person can have, is when they are condescending.
Yes.
And
I knew you were going to say
that. The other one's pretty bad too that I'm not sharing, but the condescension, and when Tim Scott's saying, I'm not the exception. I'm normal. We've had this, we've had that. And then she smiles at him with that fake smile. The smile, Sunny Hostin. Now, the exception. And then I realized, I used to just think that Sunny Hostin was a racist and hated white people and used all these things to justify her racism. Then I realized today, watching Tim Scott on The View, Sunny Hostin may be a racist. She may not be. I don't know. But what Sunny Hostin wants to believe is that she's a special person, that she is a superior person, that she is very successful.
That she beat the odds.
Sunny,
over everybody else.
Yes, and others cannot do. She's a special person. People can't achieve.
I think you hit the nail on the head
Sunny Hostin, the reason Sunny Hostin is successful on TV is one reason and one reason only. And she's good looking. She looks good. She's for a television person that's a lawyer. She's good looking for a TV lawyer. She's not a bimbo good looking like some of these people, but she's gotten by on her looks. And one thing,
too bad she has an ugly heart.
She's very ugly inside. But she's good looking. First time I started to see her on television is she's an attorney, and she was like a commentator on a lot of the true crime stories. Sometimes you'll still see her on some of the reruns, but that's how I remember her getting her start. But that's how she got her look. Now she's on this panel, The View. So you got Sunny Hostin, who's black. she's the exception. She's a victim, she tells you. Ana Navarro, who's a minority, she's and not attractive at all. It's like, oh my goodness. She's an exception, although I don't know what her talent is. And Whoopi Goldberg, who is physically always has been repulsive in nature, is very talented. You know, people forget about Whoopi Goldberg. When Whoopi Goldberg first got famous, she did stand-up comedy specials that aired like on Showtime and HBO, and she made movies that are forgotten that were comedy movies. And she's
won an Academy Award. She's won a Tony.
Well,
she's won an Emmy, she's an EGOT.
Before she went and did Ghost and got the Oscar, she was a very, very funny stand-up comedian. I remember her in her movies. She was funny. And then after she got the Oscar, she got self-important and became political like a lot of people. And she's a great Whoopi Goldberg is an incredible comedian. Not anymore, okay? But she's an incredible comedian. And she used to be a great actress. Ghost was kind of like go watch her in The Color Purple.
Oh, I love Ghost.
She's good at Ghost is good, but she's great in The Color Purple.
Yeah, great.
She was very good on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now she can't act anymore. They brought her on Star Trek Picard last year, and it was like watching Whoopi on The View. She can no longer act. She just walks in as herself, wearing curtains, and she doesn't act anymore like she used to. But Whoopi Goldberg got to where she is because she is a very talented person in acting and in comedy. Sunny Hostin's gotten by on her looks. Ana Navarro's gotten by on connections. But what Tim Scott said is right. To tell people that are successful they're only successful because they're exceptions to the rule and nobody else could be successful is incredibly damaging. What I've come to realize in my life and career is that most everyone who is nationally successful is connected. Like, I give an example, like Mark Levin. Mark Levin worked for the Reagan administration. That's how he's nationally syndicated. All of the, Glenn Beck, you might think he's not connected. That's not true. He's very well connected with people inside the Mormon community. Mm-hmm. And if you remember when Glenn Beck first got nationally known, one of his biggest sponsors was something that's become kind of normal now is the food storage, right? Like we have 2 containers of food storage that we bought a couple years ago. It's good for like 30 years or something for hurricanes, and that's a Mormon business. Because Mormons store food and supplies. They have huge and that's been a big business to Mormons.
Oh, yeah.
And the food storage.
That's a big part of their religion.
Yeah. Food storage was made common and national by Glenn Beck. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole Mormon business. So he had a lot of connections. Very few people are successful that are not well connected or related or married to somebody. That's just how it works. I talk a lot about how Mayor Pete's been in with the Kennedys. Carolyn Kennedy since he was in high school, all these things. But Sunny Hostin, I don't so much think she's a racist anymore. She's just wants to feel like she's achieved something that others cannot, that she's a special person and she's on this pedestal. And so far as Tim Scott, Tim Scott knows he's not going to be president. He's running to elevate himself nationally.
I think he'll be the vice president.
But you know what? Yeah, when Obama,
I think that's who Trump's going to pick.
It's very possible. I think he's at the top of the list. But, and South Carolina is important. But when Obama announced that he was running for president the first time, he was kind of like Tim Scott. He wasn't really well known. People knew him vaguely. And he was just running to elevate himself. And then look what happened. Things got nuts and he became president in 2008. So, Tim Scott very well could be Trump's second vice president.
I thought it was funny how Sunny Hostin sits there. She's on a panel with 6 people, and she points out that she's the exception, Tim Scott's the exception, and Whoopi Goldberg's the exception.
And Ana Navarro.
No, she didn't say Ana Navarro. She just only mentioned the black people.
Yeah.
Well, that's half the people at the table.
And they're all millionaires.
That's 50%.
And they're all millionaires.
So I think he handled it wrong. I think he should have said to her, well, you just named 50% of the people at this table. All of us are black, successful, and rich and famous.
Exactly.
I don't think it's an exception here, and I think we're proving that. But, he keeps loving to talk about his mother and upbringing and all this stuff. He's like Hannity, harping on his past and all this stuff.
Very
and
old.
After a while, it gets kind of boring here. I like Tim Scott, but I think he needs to get new answers. But I think you're right about her. I still think she's a bigot, but she also, I think you're right. She wants to feel that she has broken the mold, and that's her special. That's her claim to fame, is that she's broken that mold. I mean, what a bigoted thing to think that black people can't make it. Only she can, or very few people can make it. It is not like this anymore. Okay, it is not the 50s.
It used to be.
Okay, it was like this a long time ago. And young people don't realize how bad it was. I mean, you couldn't even sit at the lunch counter or use the same bathroom if you were a person of color. We probably wouldn't have been able to adopt our daughter if we were adopting.
It used to be illegal.
Or anything. Yeah, exactly. You couldn't even date biracial people and all this stuff. I mean, things have changed so much, but these modern liberals, they still act like it's the 1950s in Alabama. And they just absolutely refuse. And even Bill Maher said that. He said, you have got to acknowledge the steps we have taken, the strides we have made. There's so much more equality than ever. Nobody's oppressing blacks. The only oppression they're encountering is from their own community, from her.
Exactly.
She's the one oppressing the black people by telling them they're not good enough.
They can't
make it. Everybody has opportunities these days. Everybody has a chance to make it. There's plenty of poor white people and poor Asian people and poor Spanish people that pull themselves up. What Joy Behar said, I remember now, she said, Tim Scott thinks you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps. He doesn't understand that it's not that easy. It is that easy, but they don't think black people are capable, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I thought Tim Scott...
Unless you're Sonny Hostin.
Tim Scott overall did pretty good. I mean, you're going up there against a coven. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to support the program, obviously there are many ways to do that. And one of those ways is to become a patron of the program. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And our top Patreon supporters get a live, on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Dee, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P., Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, David, Richard, and Melissa. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. And again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode of the program and a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. Now, I got a lot of feedback on something that I brought up on the morning show today from people leaving comments on my YouTube video, and it was about this very bizarre thing that Ron DeSantis did in Iowa over the weekend. He autographed a man's Bible, and
that's weird.
Yeah, a guy came up to him with a Bible and asked him to sign his Bible, to autograph his Bible for everything he's done in regards to Disney, and he did it. And
I almost feel like that's a setup.
It's so ridiculous. Bizarre.
I almost feel like that guy, like when that woman handed DeSantis. Did you see this last year where a woman handed DeSantis something she made, and it was the word fascist, but it was a crafted. It looked like a handmade.
Well, like macaroni or something.
Something like it was a handmade thing, but if you look at it more carefully, you see it was made out of the word fascist. So he got played. It went viral. And I almost think like. He keeps having these moments. He keeps getting targeted because he's kind of, I don't know, gullible maybe.
I was talking this morning.
Gosh.
There's been a handful of times where people have asked me to autograph things that I would not sign.
I hope it involves body parts.
A guy asked me to autograph his hand once.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which I thought was very weird. I said no.
He might, you know why that's bad? Because he might run to a tattoo parlor and get that tattooed.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
name?
Serious, people do that.
My name?
Yes, really crazy fans. If you sign their body, they will go to a tattoo parlor and get it tattooed
I didn't even
over.
Think about it. I thought that was weird.
You don't want to sign a body part.
That was weird.
Yeah. Somebody running around with your signature on
there
their
was
arm.
a woman who wanted me to autograph her shirt that she had on her body. She was wearing the T-shirt. Don't worry, she was an old lady, Kathy. She wasn't. But
I don't think that's as bad as long as there's not
I was uncomfortable with that. And there's been a couple. Another one was this one happened to both Steve and I. Somebody came to me and Steve and wanted us to autograph Michael Savage's book. And I said, I'm not going to sign someone else's book.
Well, nobody's wanted my autograph, so.
Well, they will one day.
No,
they will.
So.
You know.
I don't think so.
And I know my signature. Look for it on eBay. It's worth a penny. Yeah.
Nobody comes up to me.
Yeah. And there's been a few other times, but when people have asked me to sign strange things, and somebody asked me to sign a gun once, I wouldn't sign the gun.
How do you sign a gun? Like with a silver Sharpie?
Well, a guy
That's weird.
A guy came to an appearance wearing a coat and he had a rifle underneath it, and it was the rifle butt, like the wooden thing. And I don't want to be, you don't have to sign things people give you.
You don't want your name on something like that permanently.
Yeah, and when people have asked me to these examples I gave, and I said no for what they seem to understand. Okay, I didn't think you don't want to sign my shirt. I said no, I don't think my wife wants me to sign ladies' shirts that they're wearing. I said, but it's true. It's true.
Blame me.
It's true. But now I make a joke about it so I don't, so they're, make a funny thing out of it, But if someone came up to me with a Bible, I wouldn't sign it, and
because you didn't write it.
No, and the only time I know people putting their names in Bibles are like family Bibles.
Right.
Or sometimes somebody will say this Bible belongs to, and they'll put their name in it or something like that. I get that. But if someone comes up to me, I thought it's hard to say because there was that fake thing that happened with him with the heckler. The more I think about it, I think that is what you say, Kathy. I think the guy coming up to DeSantis and signing the Bible was a setup, and because
seems like it's just a weird thing to do.
DeSantis was talking over the weekend about how he's going to take the evangelical vote away from Trump.
Yeah, good luck.
President Trump did something that Christians have been dreaming and praying would happen that no one really thought would happen, and that was overturning Roe v. Wade.
Well, maybe he set this up. Maybe he set it up to make him think he looked good. Like somebody wants him to sign his Bible.
That's correct.
Like
I think
he's a prophet or something.
I think DeSantis' camp, I don't know of him personally, but I think the DeSantis camp set up this Bible autograph.
Yeah.
And if you go and look at the stories over the weekend in Iowa, there was a big Republican roundup in Iowa over the weekend. They had a big thing. Joni Ernst did this thing. And right at the top of all the stories, DeSantis autographs Bible.
Yeah, they keep pulling these stunts, the jacket, the hecklers, signing a Bible.
Because he has no real personality.
Exactly.
They have to create a personality.
And it keeps getting in the Daily Mail. It's every day it's a new stunt.
The AP picked, and this thing about the Bible, I don't know for sure if it was set up, but I've never heard of something like that happening before. And the reason I brought this up today was not to diss on DeSantis. I wanted to find out what other Christians thought. And a lot of people have told me they consider it's possibly blasphemy to sign an autograph, a Bible. I don't know if it is or not. It seems weird. But DeSantis, what he was doing was, look, the evangelicals support me. They're asking me to sign their Bibles.
Right. I think he set it up for that exact reason.
Well, the thing is about DeSantis, we know that Karl Rove and Jeb are running this campaign.
Yeah.
These guys are old and really haven't run.
Horrible
They
instincts.
haven't run. They're running campaigns from like 1992, not the modern era. And these things that are happening in the 80s and 90s would have been a big deal. Oh, a guy asked him to autograph a Bible. Oh, a heckler called him an effing fascist. Back in the 80s and 90s, that would have been a big deal. Now it looks like what it is. And he's got these old.
I think you're right.
He's got these old timers, these old time campaign people. Hillary had this problem in 2016 against Trump
with the hot sauce.
Yeah, they have these old time people that have been out of the mix for a while, and they're running campaigns from the 90s, and it's old fashioned by today's standards. And the American public, because there's so much media, are so informed today. Yeah, so they got these old timers running the campaign, and so people today, because of social media, the internet, and Andrew Breitbart called people with cell phones citizen journalists. The American people are so well informed about all the tricks of these sneaks, and this is one of the Donald Trump's doing so well and so popular for a lot of reasons, but one of them is he's real, as opposed to trying to craft a personality like DeSantis
he has
with
a personality.
these fake things.
Yeah.
But I wanted to tell people, like, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and people asked me which one it was, and I keep forgetting to tell them. But you got me Charles Stanley, who just passed away. Kathy and I are Catholic, but we loved Charles Stanley.
Love Charles Stanley.
We were one of his services
I
once.
like Joyce Myers too. But Charles Stanley's the best.
Yeah, but you got me the Charles Stanley Life Principles Bible.
I got two, one for both of us.
Yeah.
This is the newest edition.
Yeah, we each have one, and we tell them apart because I took the cover off of mine, and Kathy kept the cover on hers. That's how we tell them apart. I did not write my name in it. Maybe DeSantis will autograph it for me next time I see him. But let me tell you, I have. I've been saying for years, I don't really read the Bible. I never really read the Bible.
I've been trying to get it to happen.
And I've never really gotten a lot out of reading the Bible, and so, sometimes when I read the Bible, I feel like I got a reading disability, which I don't, but I feel like I have a reading disability compared to the people. But you got me this Charles Stanley, that's the Life Principles Bible.
It's very good.
And I don't know what it is about this, but still the same words. There's some other things in it. And it's also got the best, the font and the pages are the most pleasant on the eye of any Bible I've ever read before.
Some Bibles, the font's really small, the pages are too thin.
But they have this.
He explains it a lot.
They have these. Charles Stanley has these
footnotes.
Explanations in the footnotes of everything. So what I've been doing is I've been reading the footnotes and then reading the part of the Bible, and it's making a lot more sense to me now. I read the footnotes first.
If Charles Stanley was alive, which I wish he was, would you be comfortable having him sign that Bible?
No, I wouldn't ask him to sign it.
I wouldn't
ask him to sign it
because it's he didn't write the Bible, but it's his.
I wouldn't ask him to sign it.
He produced it. He put it out and put the footnotes and wrote everything. No,
there's a place in the front of it, the Charles Stanley Library. It says presented to by on. It gives the name for 2 dates.
I don't think Charles Stanley would sign the Bible.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he would.
I'm sure
he would
either.
People have asked him because we met him once. It was very exciting. We were in Atlanta. We went to his church, First Baptist of Atlanta, and it was a beautiful big church. And we went in and we waited till the end to go in line and meet him. And he's very tall. He was very tall, very nice man. And we met him. We told him we were, sorry, it's my phone. We told him we were from South Florida visiting, and he was very nice, very brief. I wonder if people have approached him with a Bible to sign it. And I think he would have said no. That's God's book. Not, he was always promoting
I think
the Bible.
It would be strange, and for a politician,
very strange,
to sign somebody comes up to him and asks him to autograph a Bible, which I've never heard of anyone doing before. The same day that he says that he's going to get the evangelical vote away from Trump.
Set up. You're right about that.
It's so ridiculous.
You're right about that.
And I just want to say one thing about Disney, and then we'll break, and then we got more to talk about in the last segment. So, guys, you don't want to miss the last segment. We got a lot of stuff to touch on. Some people have asked me, why do I keep saying that DeSantis lost against Disney? I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest capsulized version of this. Disney has their own, people know they have this thing called Reedy Creek. They have their own government, and they have basically their own state within a state. And DeSantis said he took that away from them. Well, he spent a year bragging about it, and Disney in that year got very good attorneys, and they set him up. And they passed, in the final days that Disney controlled the Reedy Creek, they passed some new laws because they had the government that gave Disney. You can look this up online. Google this: the King Charles Clause. And what Disney did is they passed this law that they will maintain control of that district until how many years after Kat, do you remember how many years after?
I think it was 30.
30, yeah. They will control that land in that area with total control until it's either 20 or 30 years after the final descendant of King Charles dies. Charles is going to have descendants for hundreds of years, so that's like forever. And then Disney had their own fire department, the roads, they had the utilities like water and electric, got their own power plants, just like a city. And that's been very expensive. You know how much fire trucks cost? Plus, they got the electrical grid there. They've got to maintain the roads. They gave control of the things that cost money to the state. So DeSantis took over control of paying for the fire department, maintaining the roads and the water and the power plant and the electrical grid. That Disney got rid of the financial burdens and has control forever. And everybody was caught off guard by this. They kept their mouths shut. No one knew about it.
Right.
And he got whooped. And this is very important, guys. This is very, very important. He wants to be president of the United States. And Carrie Lake said it best. I wish I would have thought of this. It's so obvious. But when brilliant people do things, it seems so obvious because they're so brilliant. Carrie Lake said, if Ron DeSantis can't beat Donald Duck, how's he going to beat Donald Trump?
Right.
And it's very funny. And what makes it funny is it's true. It's sad.
He's not going to win.
True.
He's not going to win.
That's right.
But he's pinning his hopes and dreams on Trump being in jail.
Yeah.
I really believe that they have told him.
Yes.
But like you said, he's getting
DC
advice
indictment
from Jeb Bush.
Yes.
Who is just so out of touch with
everything.
Like when he was running against Trump, he didn't even break 3%. I mean, he's a loser.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I think he became governor is because his brother was president at the time. Other than his father was president. I mean, it's he's a Nepo baby.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good governor. He was, but that was a long, long time ago. And he embarrassed himself with Trump. He really did. He could not handle Trump's ego, and he should have handled things differently. Marco Rubio, too, got sucked in and embarrassed himself with all the hands and all this stuff. Trump really knows how to bring out the worst in people. That's a skill he has, and people fall for it every time. And I mean, it's really a master manipulation. And he'll do that with DeSantis. It's already happening. I don't understand why his wife wore that jacket. I don't understand why DeSantis is pulling these stunts. But I think you're right. He has no personality. He's awkward, and he's doing things to get talked about in the news, and he thinks it's working, but it's not. It's very interesting to me that he is getting zero bumps. It's going in the opposite direction.
Absolutely.
And Trump's not even really doing anything.
It's a disaster.
Really isn't really campaigning yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, listen, we're going to take our last break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Do you feel safe in hotel rooms when you're traveling? Introducing SwiftLock. The SwiftLock is your trusted portable door security solution. Wherever life takes you, your safety is always within reach with SwiftLock. SwiftLock is an innovative portable door lock. Say goodbye to those worries about the security of your hotel room, an Airbnb, or any rental, even your own home. SwiftLock provides an additional layer of protection, ensuring that your door can't be opened from the outside, not even with a key. It's the ultimate defense against potential intruders, giving you control over your personal space everywhere you go. And installation is easy. No tools or technical know-hows required. In just seconds, you can set up or remove SwiftLock, even in the dark. Crafted from high-quality materials, SwiftLock guarantees durability and reliability. Take control of your security, no matter where you are, and embrace the freedom and peace of mind that SwiftLock brings. A portable door lock that puts your safety first. It also is a great gift. Order yours right now and experience security made simple. Visit SwiftLockSecurity.com. That's SwiftLockSecurity.com. Calling all business owners, HR leaders, and senior executives. Discover the future of hiring with Irina Volohina's online course, Latest Trends and Best Practices in Recruitment. In this course, you'll dive into the newest trends, master the most effective practices, and revolutionize your recruitment strategy. Go right now to Udemy.com and type in Latest Trends in Recruitment in the search bar. That's Latest Trends in Recruitment in the search bar, and empower your business with top-tier talent today. From author Dwight Reynolds comes your next must-read book, Never Been Better. Memories of people, places, and experiences. Available on Amazon. Journey with the Thompson family as they leave the emerald shores of Ireland, braving the Atlantic for a new life in America. Experience their trials and the spirit of humanity. The author weaves unforgettable tales from around the globe, all captured with a profound appreciation for life's beauty, a spark of humor, and a testament to positivity, perseverance, friends, and family. Never Been Better is perfect for history enthusiasts, memoir lovers, anyone seeking an uplifting read that lingers long after the last page is turned, and book clubs. And a portion of each book sold will be donated to a mental health charity. So not only will you embark on an unforgettable journey, but you'll also be helping a great cause. Never Been Better is available right now on Amazon. Experience the memories, share the journey, feel the love, because life, as author Dwight Reynolds shows us, has never been better. Do you feel lost in the noise of the world? Are you seeking clarity, joy, and perfect health under all conditions? Each of us was born with a guide that holds the answers to all our questions. Author Alex Abosine invites you on an amazing journey to the depth of your soul in his enlightening new book, The Voice Within, available on Amazon and bookbaby.com. As T.S. Eliot once said, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. It's time to recognize and align with your inner voice. It's time to find happiness and unconditional love. It's time to hear your voice within. Embark on this journey with The Voice Within, an amazing journey to the depth of your soul. From author Alex Abosine, now available on Amazon and bookbaby.com in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. And the Third Amendment is something we don't talk about very often. It's kind of a dated concept.
Yeah, it is.
But the Third Amendment is the amendment that you do not have to be forced to house soldiers, which is what happened during the time before the Revolution and everything. And during the Revolution, they had to house the British soldiers.
Yeah.
They were forced to do it by the crown.
Quartering soldiers.
So when they came up with the Constitution, that was the Third Amendment. So that was top of their mind. You know, it wasn't at the bottom. It was one of the first amendments. Well, I don't know if this pertains to this, but Eric Adams, the lovely mayor of New York City, excuse me, he wants private citizens to start housing migrants in their personal homes.
Oh, yeah, that sounds safe.
He said that is his dream.
Why not Gracie Mansion? He's got that governor's mansion.
He should be the first one.
Exactly.
To put thousands of asylum seekers into private dwellings while paying local homeowners and landlords. So they'll be like foster kids. I tell you what, all the rich celebrities and all the rich liberals should be the first ones to sign up because they're the bleeding hearts that think this is a good thing. So let's see how many of these rich New Yorkers like Spike Lee and Alec Baldwin and all these a-holes up there sign up for this. But they're going to pay people to do this, like the foster care system. I don't know how much. But to me, this is a way to get more money from the federal government.
They couldn't pay me enough because you bring people in that are border jumpers. They're undocumented. You don't know who they are. They could be a serial killer or a rapist back home in Guatemala. It could be MS-13. It just doesn't seem very smart. It doesn't seem very safe. But, you know, if you notice, though, what you said there is true, Kathy. New York's kind of embracing the illegals now because they see it as a way to get a whole bunch of money from the federal government, which is all they care about, so they can steal from the government.
He said it's a way to recycle our own dollars. We can take $4.2 billion that we anticipate we have to spend, and we can put it back in the pockets of everyday houses of worship and everyday citizens. So they want to house them at churches and then private homes. So the funding they get from the federal government for this, I understand what he's saying, for this housing, they want people to put them in their homes and they'll pay them to do it. Hey, look, as long as they're not forcing you to do it and they're paying you, I have no problem with that. But it's still encouraging this influx of illegal immigrants.
Kathy, you don't bring
instead of solving the problem.
You don't bring homeless people into your house.
Well, I wouldn't do it.
Very
but, you know,
dangerous.
These New York liberals are stupid.
You know, what's going on in this country right now, we're in big trouble. I had this story this morning about the birth rate. The birth rate this last year we've had the fewest number of babies born in many, many years. 3.7 million babies born last year. More people died than were born. And I don't know how many of the 3.7 million are like illegal anchor babies. You know, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of them. But what what's going on in this country right now, this replacement theory that they tell you is a crazy thing to talk about and all these things. When a civilization, if you go through history, it's civilizations, when the death rate usually surpasses the birth rate during times of war. Like in the First World War, there was a massive death rate, Second World War, the Civil War. But to have more people dying than being born in the country, that's when a civilization is on the verge of crumbling.
You know what? There's a Breitbart. I put this in your Facebook group. Washington Post op-ed. Washington Post has an op-ed that says, let's celebrate as migrants replace Americans. And see, Tucker talked about the Great Replacement and everybody poo-pooed it.
Yep.
I think this has to go along with the pushing of the gay agenda. Hear me out. This might sound nuts, but I think their goal is the Great Replacement. Yeah. They want to have more illegals than legals in this country.
Well, they're going to.
Americans should celebrate the inflow of migrants into new jobs throughout the economy, even as American men remain on the economic sidelines. So they're saying we should celebrate that. What if that has to do with encouraging young people to be gay to reduce the birth rate?
Of course, that's what it is.
So that is probably part of this whole thing they're doing.
All this gender stuff that's going on. The people that are involved in all this weird gender stuff are people of childbearing years. Yeah. So the people that are normally out there having reproductive sex aren't doing it as much anymore because they don't even know what gender they are. So what happens a lot of times, the left, everything with the left is about race, and they think that a lot of conservatives are, talk about this replacement theory because the country will be browner. It's not that the country will be browner. It's what they're doing is they're replacing a culture, an American culture, of working people with a peasant class.
That's right.
That
they're ruining the middle class.
Planning on living off the government.
That's right.
In Section 8 housing, food stamps, Medicaid. That's right.
We're too productive for them.
Free everything. And when they bring in this new peasant class, their entire livelihood is based on handouts from the government. They have a controlled block of voters.
Absolutely.
And the replacement theory is not a racial thing. They're replacing a population that the establishment cannot control with one that's a peasant class that they feel they can control.
In this article in the Washington Post actually says that we should be happy that they are replacing migrants. They're replacing real American workers with migrant workers. Well, so Tucker Carlson and what we say about the replacement theory is true. And that's what they're doing. And this gay agenda has something to do with that. I believe they go hand in hand.
One of the things that was very surprising about the COVID period is that there wasn't a baby boom. And the reason there was not a baby boom is because there's so many gay people and all this weird gender stuff.
Plus, they're encouraging young people to not be family-minded, to be more selfish. And I see a lot of young people on social media that don't want children
in their 20s and 30s. They're children themselves.
They see them as a burden.
They call it. There's this thing called adulting, and
they are children.
These people in their 20s and 30s act like teenagers. They call it adulting, and they don't have kids. So we're in big trouble in this country. And really what we got to start doing, I think, Kathy, and this will sound like a joke, but it's not, stop promoting condoms and birth control and people need to start having unprotected sex.
I thought you were going to say we need to start having more kids, but that ship has sailed. Obviously, that's not.
For you.
Oh my God, you better not. For me, yes. Yeah. You're still fertile, but so, but you know.
No, you'd be in trouble. But I'm serious. We've got a problem in this country.
That's true.
The birth rate's been on decline the last few years. Now it's at its lowest level ever. Now, part of the statistic could be out of whack because a lot of people died during the COVID period. You know what I mean? There were deaths, and a lot of the deaths were because people didn't go to the hospital for things they would normally go to the hospital for because they were afraid, and people were having heart attacks and things that they otherwise would have gone to the emergency room for, but were afraid. There's a lot of things. But there were more deaths a couple years ago. So the statistics, what I'm really hoping that the statistic is out of whack because of the COVID deaths period. they're counting in that, and that's why there were more. Because when this is a CDC number, so when the government comes out with statistics, they're always 1 or 2 years behind. So I'm hoping the number is biased.
What was the last big baby boom? Was it after
Second World War?
No, wasn't there one after Iraq, the Iraq War, when the guys came home like a mini?
Nah.
Yeah, I know
there
the
weren't
baby
that
boomers.
many guys. There weren't that many guys there. But no, there really needs to be, I know this sounds insane, but there needs to be a major movement to get people married and having babies, or this country is in trouble. And I'll tell you, when Trump comes back in 2024, one of the things a lot of people don't like about Trump that don't like him, these never Trumpers and these Democrats and everything, they don't like that he's like a man's man, a manly man.
Oh, no, alpha male.
You know, we need more alpha males. Yeah. We need manly men, and we need men that are out there making babies.
Well, and I think that has something to do with it, too. They're feminizing men, and I read an article last week that talked about how the lifestyle of young men these days has actually lowered their level of testosterone. And when a young man is more antisocial and less physically active and sits at home and plays video games all day, they actually start producing estrogen.
Really?
And stop producing testosterone. Your body adapts to the environment in a lot of ways. And, you know, that's why, like, when people live up north, their body gets used to, or like if you move to Colorado, at first it's like a shock to the system, but your body will adjust to the low oxygen levels and weather, and your body adjusts to certain climate things. But apparently when a guy, I don't know how it affects women, but when a guy is not active, men are meant to be physical. They're meant to work outside and chop wood and do physical things. That's why God made them stronger. They're made physically stronger because their job is to do physically strong work. I mean, Brian, I got him working around the house. He was chopping down trees last week. I mean, he does. I don't do it. That's the man's job. But these days, the young guys, the only exercise they get, well, one of the only exercises is moving their thumbs on the video game system, and then maybe one other thing. But it is causing them to produce estrogen, the lack of exercise, and the lack of social interaction also affects your hormone levels. Hormones are a crazy thing. So I think there's so many things going on. The lower population, while they're bringing in all these immigrants, you're right, they want to change the structure, the demographics of this country, because they want to they love communism. These people want to make us communistic.
We're voting wrong.
Control.
They can't control us. We're voting wrong.
Feminizing of men.
Yeah.
And maybe there's the lower birth rate because a lot of these guys, their testosterone levels are lower and they're not like Al Pacino, apparently, and they can't get women pregnant. It's crazy to say these things, but it can't be a coincidence that all this is happening while they're bringing in all these migrants and the American population's going down. And then they just wrote an article in the Washington Post how we're supposed to be happy about this.
It's crazy. The replacement theory is not a racial thing. What they're trying to do is fundamentally change our culture.
They want to destroy the middle class.
That's correct. They don't want to have a middle class.
I heard somebody on the news say that a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Some guy, I can't remember who it was, but some guy I've seen before who's really intelligent. He said the goal of the Democratic Party is to destroy the middle class.
That's right.
They want a two-class system. They want the haves and the have-nots. They want everybody who's not part of the elite to be completely dependent on the government. That's what AOC wants. They want people completely dependent on the government. And these immigrants coming in, they're not like the immigrants of the 1900s that came here in the early 20th century, like my great-grandparents who came here and worked their asses off. They're not like that. Those people came in, they didn't get a handout. They didn't get off the boat and get checks and say, oh, we'll give you that. None of that happened. They were on their own. They gave them nothing. But the people coming in now, California is giving them $1,200 a month now. They want to give them free phones, homes, credit cards, debit cards, college education, everything, because they want them completely dependent on the government.
That's right.
And they know they can't accomplish that with people with an American mindset. So they got to bring the people in from the third world countries that are coming from communist countries, and they think it's great.
Yeah. Now, a lot of you may not have noticed, or maybe you did notice, but I've been doing more live streams on my YouTube channel from my home studio, which I really enjoy doing. And what I'm going to start doing this week on my live streams from my home studio is taking calls during that live stream like I do in the mornings. I'm going to start taking calls on the live streams at home that I do on the weekend. Sometimes I do live streams during the week. If there's a day we don't do a podcast and there's some breaking news, I might jump and do a live stream from home, from the home studio. And I am going to start taking calls on that. So guys, when I do those streams and I give out the phone number, call in. And I'm looking forward to doing that. And by the way, just this week, and on YouTube, I broke 65,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. That's amazing. And I want to thank you guys for that. It's very difficult for a conservative, especially a white guy with a guitar, to on YouTube to grow, because I'm just a white conservative guy. I don't have anything special about me, I'm not. You're black not like Sonny Hostin. Yeah, I'm not black with a MAGA hat on, or gay and conservative or something. I'm just a white heterosexual white guy. But I want to thank everyone out there for all of your support. Now, I do so much content. I just want to quickly go through it all for people that may be new. During the week, I'm on the radio, and I live stream on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, when I'm on the radio. And I take calls from our radio listeners as well as those watching on YouTube. The podcast here with Kathy, the Brian Craig Show podcast, which of course is separate from the radio show, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. If there is a podcast platform, we are on it. Mm-hmm. And anytime they come out with a new podcast platform, we're on it. And we have a live chat on YouTube with the show at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I also upload the podcast to YouTube. And when I upload the podcast to YouTube, I generally upload it at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I do it as a live premiere on YouTube, the podcast. So there's a live chat room there, just like on the morning show. And Kathy and I are in there in the chat room interacting with you, which it's harder for me to interact in the chat room in the mornings because I'm so busy with that show. But when the podcast is going on, I'm more active in the chat room with you guys, and I do that. And so you can look for that. But if you don't already subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do. Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And I just really want to thank everyone out there who, of course, supports the podcast and everything. But I also want to thank everyone who supports my YouTube channel. And on the YouTube chat, we have a group of moderators. And we have quite a few moderators, and they really deserve a thanks, because before we had moderators, I had to moderate the chat myself on the live stream while I was doing the show, and it was distracting for me on the air. And I would be maybe 60, 70% of brain power on the air, and the rest of it was moderating the chat, because, there's always weirdos and trolls in there. And the moderators in the chat room have elevated the quality of the show so much, because I don't have to focus in on the trolls and the creeps in there. So everybody, if you see any of the moderators, make sure you give them a big thank you. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is the captain speaking. Just about ready to depart. We should be away on schedule in the next couple of minutes or so. Flight time will be 9 hours and 40 minutes.
Are you an international traveler or someone who has dreamed of traveling the world? Get ready to expand your horizons with the ultimate global podcast experience, the International Lounge Podcast, available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. This is your passport to the world of culture, where food, film, music, history, and fascinating tales from travelers come alive. With captivating storytelling and hilarious insights, each episode covers the rich heritage and traditions of a different country. From the ancient wonders of Egypt to the vibrant streets of India, discover the mystique of China and the flavors of Italy, the beauty of Greece, the vastness of Russia, and beyond. The International Lounge Podcast covers it all. So grab your earbuds and join the International Lounge Podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and follow them on Instagram at International Lounge Podcast. The International Lounge Podcast, your ticket to laughter, learning, and the wonders of the world.